We are back on Morning Mover. Salesforce in focus this afternoon when the cloud giant reports its quarterly results. Earnings are expected to come in at $277 on an adjusted basis. Revenue is expected to come in just north of $10 billion. Shares are down nearly 25% this year going into today's report. Time now for Options Corner. Joining us to take a deeper look at Salesforce is Rick Ducat, lead market technician. All right, Rick, tough year for Salesforce. When you look at this chart, what trends do you notice?
Tough year for Salesforce, tough year for the software sector as a whole, these app developers here. You can see Salesforce are underperforming the S&P and the tech sector here. But if you look really at these software names, Intuit, Salesforce, Workday, Adobe, it kind of just goes from bad to worse. Everyone's underperforming the sector here. Now, when you include the outlier name like Palantir, the chart looks quite different here, so it's interesting to dive more closely into these sectors to see what's happening. This is a sector that's being severely disrupted by AI. Now, if we were to look at Salesforce a little more closely here, we can see a downward sloping channel between our two white dashed lines here is the prevailing trend. Salesforce, after falling to its previous lows near about 230 right here and here, you can see that we saw heavy volume activity at this important low point, and we saw a recovery in share prices. However, we have stopped short. We're at 255, our red line here, low point, and then we are stuck there once again. We are between our yellow 21-day exponential moving average and our orange 63-day EMA. So this area around 250 to 255 or so could be critical here to hold on to. We can also see the volume profile shows the point of control, the heavy trading area up here from about 265 to 275. This could be another key congestion point to work through here. Finally, the options expected move 7.3% plus or minus here when this week's contract expires. That would capture our earnings event.
Thank you, Rick. All right, time now for an example trade. Joining us now is Tom White, senior options contributor and co-host of Fast Market. All right, Tom, so what's the approach for an example trade, given all the weakness that we've seen in Salesforce and it's got earnings today?
Yeah, implied volatility levels pretty elevated because we're in bear market territory going into these reports. I think if you look at some of their competitors within that software as a service space, they've actually done pretty well. Snowflake's one example there. So I wanted to look at a strategy. If you think this thing is going to go higher, Rick mentioned the option market pricing in about a plus or minus 7% move in the shares, just over $17 either way in this one. So I'm looking at a bullish call butterfly because butterflies start to expand in price the closer you get to expiration. So this is really short-term positioning on this one. September 5th, weekly options, just 2 days to expiration. We're going to buy the in-the-money 250 call one time. We're going to sell 2 of the 270 strike calls. That sets up with that one standard deviation move that the option market's pricing in. And then to wrap it up, to make it risk defined, we're going to buy 1 of the 275 strike calls. So buy 1, sell 2, buy 1 on this unbalanced or broken wing call butterfly. You're going to pay roughly about a $6.50 debit. If the stock opens up here, about $253.50 per share is where it's setting up to go. But if you pay that $6.50 debit, that's going to be your risk. And it takes your break even up here to $256.50 over the next 2 days. That's only about 1% above the current share price. So you don't need a big move. But you can see here the apex of profitability at or near that short 270 strike where you got 2 short options. But remember, even if it blows through and goes through 275, it's more than a double in profitability. So a low-cost entry point way to take advantage of a 1 standard deviation move. But anything above 256.50 is going to be profitability on this one.
All right, that's a call butterfly example trade there for Salesforce.